So let's talk about the muddy middle. Let's talk about the wild card race and some of the teams that are in the middle of the league as things stand. We're calling this playoff inspections, where we're looking at a handful of teams, 3 to be exact, from around the league, how they're playing, what the rest of their season looks like, whether they look like a true playoff team to us.
We have the rights to the Inspector Gadget theme because that would be really great for this segment.
That one?
Yeah.
Go Gadget podcast. I don't know. I don't think we do, actually. They're going to tell me later that we have to bleep that out. So thanks for that. We'll get some generic bumper music in its place. 3 teams. 2 of them are in the playoff field right now. One of them is on the outside. Or no, I'm sorry. One of them is on the inside. 2 of them are on the outside looking in. And it's our job to take a look at this and figure out how we feel about them. I wanted to start with a team that really wasn't all that impressive on Sunday, but they are just getting the band back together. And I've seen this going around the NFL community already. Our good friend Kevin Clark, I saw coming out of Sunday, said the season starts now for the 49ers. So that's where we're going to start.
San Francisco 49ers.
The San Francisco 49ers. And it says a lot about where you are as an organization if you can play 500 football for 9 weeks and the season starts now for you. There's not a lot of teams that have built up that kind of trust. But I do think the 49ers are one of them. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do here.
Okay.
We got our playoff inspection. We've got 4 categories. Your current level of play, your remaining schedule, your intangibles. In 2024, maybe we should call that your aura.
Your aura? Okay, Gen Z.
Your
Relax.
aura, and then
You're not Gen Z.
Your overall inspection sticker. In New Orleans, we call an inspection sticker a brake tag, but I digress.
Yeah, you do. There's always it's just an inspection. You have to get your emissions test.
Let's give the 49ers an inspection. And like I said, they played your old friends, the Buccaneers, on Sunday. Yeah. And by the lofty standard that we have for them, it wasn't all that impressive a performance.
No, it was very close to going the other way, as it has been for the Buccaneers, by the way, over the last 3 weeks. And I know this because I've picked them the last 3 weeks, and it's at the last second.
How's that working out for you?
It's not working out for me, but you know what? I pick with my heart, Dave. I know this is why I don't actually gamble very much, because I pick with my heart too much.
Leaving that where it is, and we can talk about how close the Buccaneers are to having a winning record another time. The 49ers, they struggle on special teams. Defense did buckle down and force a Tampa Bay field goal at the end there in the final minute that set the Niners up to go get the game-winning points. Christian McCaffrey's back, goes over 100 all-purpose. Brock Purdy had his best game in several weeks. But where do you stand in general with the recent level of play, knowing that this was their first game with Christian McCaffrey back? Right. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, the 49ers are ascending, and we saw that even before Christian McCaffrey came back, even before their bye week. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. Also, if you look at their rankings statistically across the board, whether it's offense or defense, I mean, this is a top 5 in offense and EPA per play. You're averaging 412.4 total yards per game, which is second in the NFL. And then you look at the defense too, and they're 11th in EPA per play allowed. They're doing their job too. It's kind of confounding that they got off to such a slow start, even with all of the injuries that they've had. They've been extraordinarily productive on both sides of the ball. So now with Christian McCaffrey added back into this mix, he is such a catalyst for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do on offense. And I feel like it's just not quite a Shanahan offense without Christian McCaffrey in it. So now that like missing piece, not that they weren't getting by without him, but now that missing piece is back in there, I mean, even though statistically they've been doing really well, I think that this is the difference between closing games out and not with Christian McCaffrey back in it. So I only see them ascending.
It's weird. We talk so much and we've wrung our hands about what the 49ers haven't been.
Yeah.
It all looks pretty good statistically.
It really does. It's almost like it's so confusing as to why they were even lacking.
I dove into the Niners while we were prepping for this, and I expected to find all this troubling information about their defense.
No.
They're top 5 in defensive DVOA.
Yeah.
And, they've been figuring it out, losing Javon Hargrave earlier in the season. Their pass rush has been putting things, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. At the end of the day, it's all still there for them. And I know you can't get results back, but I just think, they had total control of a game against the Rams in the last 6 minutes, and they were up 10 against Arizona and even had a chance to go in and put that game away before a Jordan Mason fumble. And if those two results don't go sideways, they're 7-2 right now, and we're not even having this conversation. We're talking about them comfortably being in position to win the division again and all that other good stuff that the Niners do. So I think their level of play is just fine, and I think you agree with me.
I do. I think we're in agreement here that if you're going yes or no on this playoff inspection, the Niners are absolutely playing at a level that is befitting of a playoff team. So I'm going yes.
Now, what concerns me, if I have a concern about San Francisco, is, again, you don't get those games back. You lost to the Rams, you lost to the Cardinals, 2 winnable division games. And the schedule is tough. Even if you love San Francisco, they have so much talent. But according to The Athletic, they have the 4th hardest strength of schedule remaining in the entire NFL. They got games against Super Bowl contenders, Green Bay, Buffalo, Detroit, still on the schedule. You see it up here if you're watching. They've also got games against division teams, still got return games against the Rams and Cardinals coming. You've got a game against Seattle. You've got a game against the Chicago Bears. Even on paper, the easiest looking game here is Miami, and that is a completely different team since Tua Tagovailoa came back from his concussion. So there isn't much in the way of a gimme for San Francisco, and for a team that's already 5-4, that does concern me a little bit.
I'm not concerned. I'm just not.
I got nothing. I did nothing for you there.
No, not really. I mean, yeah, it's tough, but also if the 49ers are who we think they are and talking through statistically who they've been all season, and you're right, some of those losses could have very easily gone the other way. If I'm telling you that they have the 2nd most productive offense in terms of yardage across the league, and now they have Christian McCaffrey back, how in the world am I going to think that they can't do that against any of these opponents? So I'm not concerned. We've seen them be able to turn it on after bye weeks too. So, Christian McCaffrey aside, this is kind of who this team is. They're a second half of the season team, maybe a second half of games team. I'm not concerned. So I'm going to say that I guess no is my answer, or yes is my answer. We're doing this the opposite way. Yes, they're a playoff team even with the schedule.
So we did our own inspections here. I would have said no, because the schedule does concern me when you've already dropped some winnable games. And like I said, I'm not worried about San Francisco beating Seattle this coming week. I would guess that would happen. I think they're a better team than the Dolphins and the Rams, but you're talking about playing the Buffaloes and the Detroits of the world. Not saying they can't win those games, but it's the NFL. Logic says that you're probably going to drop 1 or 2 of those. And when you're already at 5-4, that's the difference. Not so much in making the playoffs, but having a home game, getting to the point where maybe you could be in play for the bye. I mean, you never want to speak too soon, but the bye almost feels out of the question for San Francisco with the way that the Detroit Lions are playing this year. So I would have said no, but I hear you. I do think if there is a team that's talented enough to overcome this type of schedule, it's probably San Francisco. It's crazy. You lose Brandon Ayuk for the year with an ACL, which just means that now with Christian McCaffrey back in the lineup, you go CMC, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle.
Yeah. And Ricky Pearsall got his first touchdowns this last game.
That trio of skill players, though. And then, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Kyle Juszczyk can build off of that. But to have that trio.
Yes.
After you lose an all-pro for the year.
On top of having the defense that they do, that, yes. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a lot of concerns about them even going against stiffer competition down the stretch, because if we're going to talk about the 49ers like they're this powerhouse NFC team, then let's talk about the 49ers like they're a powerhouse NFC team.
Okay, so if that doesn't concern you, what about the intangibles? What about the aura around this Niners team?
Please stop saying aura.
I will not. It's fun. I don't know how many teams have dealt with as much drama as the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
And do you think it's weighing on them? Do you think it's something that they can get out from under in the second half of the season?
Yeah, that is the concern for me with the 49ers is can they keep it together? Because for a large portion of this game against Tampa Bay, it was back and forth. And you see it right there. Deebo Samuel's choking out his kicker, his long snapper.
Is that
that was the holder, wasn't it? Actually,
it was the long snapper.
It was the long
Tabor
snapper.
Pepper.
Yes. Like, first of all, what do you? Long snappers are the most inoffensive players. Period. Like they have one job and they mostly do it well. And you look at how they're struggling in the special teams game, and special teams is already an isolating job. Like if you've never seen football practice before, special teams guys are on the separate field. They're on their own. They're not really a part of the team. And so then to treat your teammate like that, I don't care if it's the heat of battle, that's just unacceptable to me. And could you imagine, you talk about the games that they've lost that they easily could have won. There are plenty of games that they won that they easily could have lost, being this one being one of those.
Tampa Bay being one of those.
Could you imagine what would have happened if Jake Moody ended up missing that kick and they lost to them in overtime? Could you imagine what the story would be then? Can you imagine what that locker room then looks like now? It's very easy to shrug that off and be like, yeah, I'll go talk to Moody after the game, or after I'm done with you guys, like Deebo Samuel was talking about in the locker room. It'll be fine. It'll be water under the bridge. That's not water under the bridge if you lose that game. And if you're that volatile, that is something that is concerning to me, because you see the really great teams, again, the Detroit Lions being one of them, where they are down, they are never out. And even if they are faced with things like losses, they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they bounce right back. They always are there to pick each other up. They have a wonderful culture in that building. And with all of the drama that predated the season, even for San Francisco, I can't with good conscience say that this is something that doesn't concern me, or that I don't feel like we're teetering on the edge of. Like, it's still volatile in San Francisco for me right now. No, they don't pass the vibe check.
This 49ers team is starting to remind me of like the 90s Cowboys in the sense of just the show outside of the show, like the show that has nothing to do with football.
Right.
But I think I mean that as a compliment. Like, if there's a team that I think can weather this, it's this one. Like, you got Trent Williams got ejected a few weeks ago for throwing a punch in a game. You've got the Brandon Ayuk, the contract drama, and the constant back and forth.
And then he gets injured.
Deebo Samuel has a podcast. Deebo Samuel and George Kittle were both on the subject of a television show last year. I know it didn't come out till over the summer, but you're still having all of that swirling around the team. Am I missing anything?
I'm sure we are.
Nick Bosa made a political endorsement during a game. Well, not during a game, but after a game recently.
Wouldn't talk about it. And then by the way, your rookie draft pick got shot.
Very unfortunately, but
unfortunately. Like, yes, I mean that in a very unfortunate way. Like, and then he comes back and it's this wonderful story, and like the vibes are turning around from stuff like that. But I cannot get over Deebo Samuel choking out his own teammate. Like, that is just, there's no excuse for that. I've seen a lot more. I feel like we've seen a lot more infighting this year than we have in years past.
And yet, in the second half of seasons.
Oh, this is where you're going. Okay.
The Niners have had this much personality for a minute at this point.
They have.
They're 24-6 after their bye week the last 3 years.
Yeah.
9-0 in 2022, 7-2 after the bye last year.
2022 is almost a direct reflection of what we just saw, like or what we're seeing currently, because they had a week 9 bye that year, and they went into it at 4-4. And so they were right at 500, and then they ran the table afterwards.
That's what I was going to say, is it's very normal for the Niners to play 500 ball for 7, 8, 9 weeks and then get it together. And it's not great that this Deebo confrontation with Tabor Pepper and Jake Moody happened just now, but if there's a team I think can push past it, it's this one. So they passed that check for me. I'm going to go ahead and speak for you.
Yeah.
We see this team as a playoff team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that they are the powerhouse in this conference anymore, because I don't know how you argue against the Lions being the best team in the NFC, if not the entire league at this point. And I do think that there are other teams that can contend within the conference, be it the Packers or the Eagles are surging right now, but they are absolutely still the standard that we've set for the NFC in general, and they're going to be right in the mix. So I don't see this going any other way.